right, guys, so we finally get to the fun part of what we want to do. That's creating our dashboard and our statements. So this is what we are trying to achieve, creating a report that shows us our key performance indicators, income, expense, profit, cash on hand, the list of our accounts over here, mainly the top five, then our income versus expense trend line, top five revenue, top five expense lines, and then be able to select a particular account and we'll see the trend for a period of time, right? So that's what we want to do. But we need to first create the calculations. So now let's see the calculations behind this. I'm going to right click here. I'm going to say on hide and I'll come to dashboard calculations. So these are the pivot tables that are running what you see over there. So you have your income, total expenses, your bank, that's your cash balance. Then you have your top five income, top five expenses, your bank balances. And then you have your trend line, and then all these other things. So what we're going to do is pretty much create these pivot tables, then we'll go ahead and create our dashboard. So let's come here to our sheets over here. I just have only one sheet over here. I've named the dashboard calculation. So what you want to do is in the same sheet that you had where you created your data model and everything, you just need to clear or delete all the other sheets and just rename this as dashboard calculation and bring in a pivot table, right? So to bring in a pivot table, you just go to insert and then you come to, I'm starting the pivot table, I can bring it in. So I'll come here to insert, come here to pivot table, and then you select from data model, which is an option now. And you're just going to create a pivot table section for you that is connected to the data model. Good. We want to create our income calculation, which is a combination of revenue and other income, right? So what I'll do is I'll just drag amount without write-off over here. That's what we created as a measure. Remember that? Good. So let me drag this again. Okay, it's calculating over here. Good. So when you drag that in here, this is what we see over here. Let me enable content. Yes. All right. So you always make sure to enable. Good. Now, if we want just income, what we need to do is to drag name to filters, right? And then we can filter in. So I'm going to click this, uncheck this, and I'll select, no, uncheck this, I'll select income and other income. And this gives us just for revenue. This gives us just for revenue and other income. Now, we can also create a measure, which actually is the preferable way to go. So we come to Power Pivot. What we'll do is we'll come to measures, then we'll come to new measure, right? And then a new measure, what we're going to do is we're going to create a measure that takes into consideration only income lines. That's revenue and other income. Good. So we're going to put this in the my measures table we created. We'll call this total income. Okay, good. If you want to give a description, you can. I'm just going to zoom in here and I'm just going to use the calculate function. Calculates. And then we're going to use our measure. That's amount without write-off. Okay. And then we're going to be put in the filters. So when you say or, right, we're going to say the first one is COA name is equal to revenue or COA name hold on, I didn't close this here. So COA name is equal to other income. Okay, this is not showing. Let me zoom in. Okay, COA other income. Good. Close brackets. All right, let's check this. Okay, so this expression is not valid and the pair is not complete. Please review. Right, I need to bring another closing brackets. Let's check this now. Good. Now let's come here, set this whole number, 1000 separator. Okay, good. And now you have this. Now this total is not being filtered, even though we have the filter. Right? So if I drag this filter out, right, see, it still gives us the total income, right? That's what we want to do. So we're going to do the same thing for our expenses. I'm going to come here, first copy this for total income, and then I'll create a new one. right? I'll call this for total expenses, right? And I'll paste this here. Okay, so this is going to be COA is equal to what? Cost of sales, and then expenses. Number, whole number, thousand separator, click OK, close. Good. So we have expenses, we have income. Good. So I'm just going to remove this guy. So this is going to be total income. Copy this guy, paste him to the side, and then we can change this to total expenses. We can also create our profits, which is the difference between total expenses and total income and expenses. Now, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make expenses positive, right? I'm going to make it positive or absolute. So I'll come here to power pivot, come to measures, edit this, and I'm going to say, because I don't want to see the negative over there, just make this absolute. Maybe yes. Close this and close that. Make this absolute. Let's check. It's correct. Click OK. And let's create a new measure. Call this profits, stroke loss. All right, profit or loss this way. And then for this guy, we're going to make it a simple total income less our total expenses. And then we can check that as well. Good. Number, no decimal place. If you want a decimal place, you could use that, but then I'm using no decimal place throughout. I'm going to click close. Good. So copy this guy and I'll paste this here. For this, instead of total expenses, I'm going to use my profit or loss over here. So that's my profit, positive. If it's loss, it's going to be negative. So we have total income, total expenses, profit, and we're going to create our last one, which will be cash in hand. Cash in hand. Now for cash in hand, let me drag this out, put amount over here. For cash in hand, we are not using name, we are using main. So when you come here, you bring main to filters. We are filtering this by bank and cash. So where's cash and bank, right? We're filtering this by bank and cash. Okay, so we can go ahead and create our measure for that as well. So I'm just going to come here to pivot tables. I'll come here to manage measures, right? Just create new. Call this cash at hand. Which includes cash and cash equivalents, basically. That's what I mean. All right. I'm going to bring Windows V to bring in my clipboard. This is my formula. I'll paste this. Okay. And I'm going to change the COA name to name main. Hold on, let me clear this guy. Okay. So name main is going to be cash, and then here name main is going to be bank account. Okay, so let's check this. All right, good. Whole number, thousand separator. Okay. So close. I'll drag this guy out and I'll put my cash at hand over there. Good. So cash at hand is 761,722. Good. So we have total income, total expenses, profit, and cash at hand, right? So at every point in time, when we select a period, this is going to give us a cash. But let's now look at the total income, total expense, the top five, right? Good. So now we've been able to achieve this, which is basically these four cards. Is that okay? So now what we're going to do is do the top five revenue lines, do the expenses, and then we'll do the income and expense trend before we come to account. I have a reason why I'm leaving these two items for last. Okay, so let's come here. So to create a top five income lines, all you need to do is copy this and then just paste it below, right? And then we are going to add our main to rows. So we have something like this. Is that okay? Now, this already gives us just four lines, okay? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and I'll say, always give me top five. Okay, this is an event where this goes beyond four lines. Maybe you have six, seven lines, and will give you that. Okay, you'll see that in top expenses for a moment. Now let's sort this from largest to smallest. Good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the grand total as well. Okay, good. So these are top five expenses. I'm going to highlight this. Insert a column over here. Good. Copy this again. Paste this here. All right, this time around, we're not going to use total income. We're going to use total expenses. Okay. Let me clear this filter. Okay, so these are our total expenses over here. Now what I want is a top five. All right, and I'm going to sort this from largest to smallest this way. So we have salaries, we have utility expenses, we have facility maintenance, we have factory, laboratory reagents, and then we have what rents as this. Okay, nice, good. So we have top income, top expenses, and now we've been able to create these two. Last thing we need to do is create this. So let's do that. Okay, copy this guy, and I'll just bring him down here. Okay. There's also another way of creating a new pivot table, and that's just by going to insert and then you create or insert a pivot table from the data model. But I can just copy this and that's why I'm doing that. So uncheck this, uncheck that. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to create a report that shows month-on-month revenue versus expenses. Okay. So that means that we need to come to all under calendar, we need to bring in what our month name. So I'll bring our month name under rules nicely over here. And then I'll come to my measures, bring in total income, and I'll bring in total expenses over here. Nicely done. So we have total income and total expenses. Fantastic. So now we can create a line chart just from this pivot table report. Good. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and create the last two. Okay, so I'll copy this and I'll just paste this over here. So for this, we are going to clear our filter over here. Okay, and I'll remove expenses from here. Okay, so for the cash at hand, we're not going to use name. We want to see the details, right? So we're going to drag name details, and then we're going to drag in our cash at hand. This. And that gives us, for the various cash at hand details, what the amounts were. This should sum up to your 761,722. Is that okay? Good. Now, what I did was to be able to see the top five, and then whatever balance is left, what I did was simply to come here, come to value filters, top 10, and this time instead of top five, we'll do top four. Okay, right click this, and then we'll come here to sort from, hold on, sort from largest to smallest. You get, so this will always give you a top four. And then we'll add others, which is basically going to be our total, like this, minus, so sum this, hold on, sum this, and then we select all these values this way. You get it. Now, obviously, this should not be the ideal case of a negative, but like I said from the beginning, this is random data generated. So forgive me for this instance. Okay, so we have this in place. We have others. So everything else has been crammed up into others over here. Good. So we have basically almost everything we can start. The last one, which is to select an account, we're just going to leave that for now, and then we're going to start what we have. So let's see how we can create our dashboard in the next video.